Chase, thank you. We're going to be following what happens in the courtroom throughout this third trial. So here to provide us some legal insight is criminal defense attorney Adam Ashby. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
I want to talk about this trial specifically is really interesting because we have the victim who possibly is going to testify. What are we expecting?
Yeah, many people are asking and saying, why are we doing this?
Right.
Is this even worth it?
Yes.
Right? Why she has 2 life sentences in Idaho. It's likely a 25 years to life here in Arizona. Why are we wasting the taxpayers' dollars?
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, everyone's saying, give Brandon his day in court. Okay. He wants to tell his story. He wants to be able to be and have his rights as a victim, you know, vindicated. And so he wants to be able to tell his side. The other aspect of this is his ex-wife was very, very close to Lori Vallow. And so they have a lot of information that they didn't bring out in the first trial that they want to bring out in this one. And so with Brandon taking the stand, the only victim really in all of the cases that wasn't killed.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
First time we're going to hear from someone who's a victim of Lori Vallow Daybell.
Yep.
You mentioned that there's a lot of evidence that they're going to want to be bringing out. What does that entail? What are we looking for? Forward is an odd word, but what are we looking to hear and learn during this trial?
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be the main, obviously the charge is conspiracy. Yeah. The main thing is the communication between Lori and Alex, her brother that is also dead, and also the communication between Lori and Brandon's ex-wife. So that's going to be a lot of information. There's speculation on whether or not Brandon's ex-wife is going to be called as a witness or for the prosecution or the defense, and that's going to be a ton of information that we haven't seen before. And that's going to show a lot of the conspiracy, a lot of Lori's mentality and where she was at the time of the event, and also that's going to give everybody kind of a full picture of the death of her children, the death of Chad's wife, and also the death of her first husband.
Okay, and that's what's interesting is that we've actually heard from the niece before in like Dateline interviews, but we haven't heard much since. Why wouldn't she want to take the stand?
If you want my opinion,
okay,
I believe it's because she's exposed. She's hired an attorney. I believe that if she takes the stand and she doesn't take the fifth, which is that I'm not going to testify, it's because they're looking at her as possibly being wrapped up in this conspiracy.
Right.
Yeah, so there's speculation around that. And so if she does take the fifth, there's going to be some sort of an agreement with the prosecution that they won't go after her in order to share her side of the story.
How much does this trial matter? I know that we do have a victim in this case who wants to tell his story. But again, we're hearing from the public and they're saying, why? I mean, why are we doing this?
Yeah, I think mainly it's for Brandon, right? That's the most important thing. But secondly, the whole point of prosecution is to deter people from committing crime. They want to let people know that, hey, Lori Vallow Daybell started in Arizona, and we want it to end here in Arizona. Yeah. If you engage in this type of offense, we're coming after you, right? We're going to deter people from committing these types of crimes. You don't get to get away with it. Now, many people are like, well, we're giving Lori more spotlight. This is exactly what she wants, which I think is true. Yeah. She's a narcissist in that way and wants things to be all about her, and that's why she's representing herself again, even after the first trial, that being a big fail. But honestly, I just think that it's the prosecution making a very big statement that if you engage in this type of offense, we're going to come after you.
From a defense perspective, if you are coaching Lori Vallow Daybell, what are you telling her about this week? What are you advising her to do?
I would say, please let me use my profession and my experience to help you. Yeah. Please don't do what you did last time in the last trial. Please don't be so emotional when you're talking to the prosecutor about recusing him, or I'm sorry, the judge about recusing himself. That was very, very telling in her state of mind right now. You don't get to recuse a sitting judge only because he turns down your motions. You have to have legal arguments and why he needs to recuse himself. So honestly, my advice would be, let me do what I do best. Let me be your defense attorney. Let me argue on your behalf. You sit here and look forward and let me be your insulation.
But when you're Lori and you know this is kind of like your last song and dance before you are in prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah, what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Right.
All right, Adam Ashby, criminal defense attorney, thank you so much for your time.